and it was very exhausting. So Piper, how about you? What are your resolutions for 2020?
Well, it's funny. I'm just now switching over brokerages and to a completely, online platform, which, I was a little hesitant to do that for a while, but then I think back to 2020, I'm like, well, that's all I've been doing, this whole time. So it's like, I don't need to be in an office, it turns out. I spent, a few weeks in March just completely, stunned as to, what was going on. I had 4 deals in the pipeline that just got eradicated overnight because people lost their jobs and they got furloughed, and and our business just shut down. And what I learned this year is, really, obviously being flexible. I think that's the 2020 word of the year, but it's knowing what you can actually control and what you can't control, and not getting too upset over what you cannot control, and just only focus on, all right, what can I actually do here? And so I had to pare down everything. I focused on a couple of sellers that I knew were on the fence, that it didn't matter if we had a pandemic or not. And I got them to sell. So, that kind of saved my 2020, instead of just trying to like be all things to all people. I just really hyper focused on just a couple. And then for, 2021, excuse me, for me, it's like, it's getting, organized and again, focusing on the things that I can control and what I'm actually good at, and focusing on those strengths.
Right. Yeah. And many of our audience and community members and our guests here know that actually one of the things that you specialize is sales of homes in Bitcoin. And as we just mentioned before the call, Santa really gave us an amazing present of the Bitcoin to go up, and we anticipate it to hit $30,000, 3x in the last 2 months only. Yep. So we'll get to this question a little bit later. Now, Nikki, I know it was very hard year for you, and we had a call with you in March or April, I think. What was the most positive thing that you learned or you experienced this year?
The most positive thing that I experienced is that in times of turmoil, your clients come together, your agent community comes together. My relationships with my clients have become so much deeper and so much more intimate. And as a reference point, most of my clients are people that I have known for a very, very long time, or they are referred by people that I know for a very long time. So there's a base level of intimacy to begin with, but also the communications with other agents, taking the time to get to know each other, taking the time to offer to help. And on a very positive note, from a business perspective, although I was literally locked in my apartment for the better part of 90 days, Zoom, which I've always loved, really became an exceptional sales tool when working with new development product. It was a very fluid presentation and experience for the client that actually helped them to consider buying something sight unseen. The one thing that was missing is they were not physically in the sales office. But I have to say that relationships, deeper relationships, is probably one of my biggest takeaways from this year, and has probably saved my sanity, to put it mildly. And I don't have a lot of the sanity to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Definitely, it feels like me personally, I was able to build deeper relationships with a number of people, new ones, as well as old friends, even classmates that I forgot to talk to for years. And even though we miss Inman and other conferences, to, as Bill mentioned, just the ability to hug each other, still Zoom provided this opportunity to connect better. Michael, how about you? Sorry, Nikki. Do you have anything to add?
one thing that I said to someone just before I got on this call. We always worry about what we're going to say to people when we haven't been in touch with them for a very long time. This year is the one year that I would find it very unusual if someone faulted you for not being in touch, because this pandemic has affected everybody in very, very different ways, and we are all coping differently. So reach out and talk to people, even if you are afraid that you haven't reached out to them all year. This is the year that you don't have an excuse to not reach out. Like, everybody's going to understand. So just do it.
Yeah. And you
That's
have
all I
2
have to say.
days, 2 days only, today and tomorrow, right?
And tomorrow, and wish people a happy new year. We're all going to be really happy to see 2020 go away, finally.
Yeah, for sure. Michael.
Hey, how are you? I would say that, we as Windermere, so I work for the Windermere Services Company. So, we support about 300 offices and about 7,500 agents. And when that hits, we basically decided that, one of the things we know is constant is change. And we live in that world of change. And so there were areas that were hit more severely than others, but we knew that we just need to be a connector for all of our offices and our owners and our brokers. And so we upped our communication, and now looking forward to where we are today, we have a lot of people that say that they became more connected. They felt like there was an answer there for their uncertainty. And we just tried to look at it on a day by day and a week by week to say, what are the challenges that we face today, and how can we provide some value, and how we can provide a solution to the situations that are going on, and weather the storm. Because, this, like anything else, it's change, and there's still going to be business. There always is business. So how do we capitalize and find that business and help our agents kind of get through this? And we were able to do it successfully. And it was really pleasing to see at the end of the year how, our sides were down, but our volume, dollar volumes were up. And it was pretty amazing. And we actually have a lot of agents. We run a coaching program, and I have agents right now in that coaching program that have had the best years they've ever had in 2020. And they're really excited about 2021. And I think that even though there's a lot of stuff still uncertain, I think there's a lot of certainty in that we have, the economy's doing better. We've got phenomenal interest rates right now, and we have massive pent up buying demand. And I think that it's going to be really interesting and exciting to see what happens in 2021.
Yeah, for sure. Lucy is back, and Pete, both of you on the East Coast. So Lucy, you're the marketing queen in real estate. You have a fascinating story, which we covered on one of our recent webinars. What was the most interesting learning for you in marketing in real estate this year? Something that is not that obvious.
Absolutely. So for example, we offer VHT Studios, we offer professional marketing strategy for every property. And photography is the base, obviously walkthrough videos and everything else that comes with it. And what we noticed that if before some agents thought, listen, I can get away with just taking a few photos, then when everything happened, it was big realization that you can't get away just taking photos. You have to have 3D tour, which is based on Matterport platform, or you have to do the walkthrough video. You have to tell the story. Every property has the story, and the agent has to tell that story through their marketing strategy. And that was the time where we were creating Zoom that, unlike you, Nikki, or Stacie, who was talking about the Zoom, I was not involved in Zoom at all. I did have my podcast channel, but no Zoom. So very quickly we organized Zoom meetings, and we did presentations to our clients. And we had, at some point, we had 150 agents at one meeting where we were talking about the importance of 3D or the interactive floor plan tours. We were explaining what's happening if you are investing your energy and your finances in something like that the return on investment will be huge. And we noticed that if our average, I would say the average amount of money the agent would spend, it used to be about $180, it went up to $350, which is almost double, because agents were investing in the story and in the marketing strategy. And that was the biggest change for us, I would say. As
So
far
you got
as
for business.
yeah, it was, and agent and our clients, they realized that it's better to invest now and not bother the seller, make it easy for the buyer. And another thing is, we were trying to explain to our clients, please make sure you understand what you are ordering. So you have to understand all the products so you can explain them to the buyer, and you can make that process very nice and smooth and pleasant. And that was amazing. And just like you, Nikki, I was able to build great relationships with my past clients who I consider friends, but then you spend more time talking about the situation and their children and their parents and what's going on and what's happening. And that atmosphere is totally different now. It's not that business anymore. It's more friendly and warm, and we care and we want to help. And I think we all learned so much from what happened in the last 9 months. That's for sure.
For sure, yeah. And the real estate community was extraordinary this year. I was just so amazed how the realtors wanted to help each other, within their communities, how they all wanted to help the healthcare workers and the small businesses. It was just mind-blowing on my side. Pete, how about you? You have quite a year with someone else.
Yeah, hi everybody. It has been a crazy year and quite eye-opening. Just like what everybody else said, it was great to reach out to clients and not just be trying to sell things, be trying to help them. Following up and seeing if they still had a job and seeing if they needed help with the mortgage deferral, and helping coach people through, just being there for them to help them, navigate this crazy pandemic. And the amount of collaboration that we had with other realtors, our association, we have a little 500 person Facebook group that we were just on, constantly doing FaceTimes and collaboration and advice. And, it was just great. I think like we all helped each other get through it. And then once everything kind of broke loose, I'm up in Rochester, New York. So we were still, we weren't completely shut down like Pennsylvania was. We can still close deals, but we couldn't, leave the house and go show properties in person like everyone else in New York. But after it opened up, it was like spring and summer market all hit at the same time. And just like everyone here said too, we had our best year ever, surpassed what we did last year in about 3/4 of the time. And it's just crazy, So the cherry on top was I left Remax and opened up my own brokerage, and we started a whole brand new concept about 3 weeks ago. So it's been really eye-opening, and you do get to prioritize what you think is what you thought was important and what really is. And with all this tragedy, it was a silver lining in the whole thing, I think.
Congratulations, Pete. All the best.
Thank you.
Great.
Welcome to Indie Island, Pete.
Indie Island, I like it. That's
Pete,
what we did too. No franchise, no nothing. We're just
where are you,
coming
Pete?
up with a concept. I'm
Pete,
sorry?
where in New York are you?
Rochester.
Oh, okay, nice.
Oh,
So
Yeah, congratulations. So Pete, now you have your own business. Congrats once again from all of us. So the next question will be, how do you actually set up the goals, KPIs? What do you use? Because, guys, I shared this small PDF on Inman group, and everybody who wanted to have access, I sent it by email. Happy to send you all if you need that. We are, in Proppy, we're following OKRs and KPIs kind of framework. And I tweaked it for the real estate industry so that it's more applicable to broker owners. So I'm very curious, how do you actually, each of you are doing your resolutions? What do you use as a framework? How do you set your goals? Do you set them at all for the 2021? Do you have like a 1 or 2 KPIs, just in 1-2 sentences? And the next question will be, if someone has any funny story about 2020, please raise your hand and share it after this question on OKRs. So who has anything to share about OKRs and KPIs?
I think they're kind of basic, Natalia. I mean, you have to look at lead generation, lead conversion, average sale price. You know, it's funny as everybody was talking, like this was such a great year and we did such a great job. We're selling in a market of scarcity. So if you're listing, it's not that you're doing such a great job. It's, I mean, in our market, and we're a mid-level market in, you know, the Philadelphia area. You know, we're 10 offices in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. We're about a month to a month and a half's worth of inventory in our collar counties, the counties around the city of Philadelphia. And we're a little over 2 months worth of inventory in the city of Philadelphia, which means that for every home for sale in Philadelphia, there are 3 buyers. And for every home for sale in the suburbs, there are 5 buyers.
Mhm.
It's not really hard to market property when you have 3 to 5 times the number of buyers you would have in a balanced market where being better becomes even more important. Right now, with the shortage of new construction starts over the last 10 years, and the fact that millennials, like boomers and roaches, are everywhere, right? And now they're coming to this time in their life where they want to nest, right? They're beginning
So we need
families.
TikTok more.
Excuse me?
We need TikTok more for this generation.
Yeah. I mean, you know, listen, I love TikTok is the ultimate black hole of my soul, where I go in and I'm just going to look at that one thing, and I look up and it's 20 minutes later and I seem to have just lost the world. But anyway, so I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that we have this large audience that is only going to become more engaged in the real estate market. We have people that are buying single family properties for rentals because that's such a demand. And the market's incredibly competitive right now. So the pivot, I think, for companies like Pete's, you know, who's a new company, the difficult piece to compete with is how do I get those properties? How do I shift the burden of production from my shoulders to the shoulders of my sales staff? I mean, he actually has different KPIs than I have, or than Stacie has, or, you know, Piper or Lucy.
The question is actually not to identify the KPIs, but actually, what do you use to follow them? And are you ready with them? Are you working now on setting the KPIs and OKRs or goals for the next year? Or you're planning in January to set them? And are you like setting them on Excel, Google Sheet, and then you're sharing it with the other team? So how actually to execute on planning?
So we're a Realogy franchise. I own the largest Century 21 company in Pennsylvania. So we have business planning software in our company intranet for managers to meet with agents. So our managers meet with the agents and set their individual goals. I meet with the managers and we set the office goals, and that of course builds to the company goals. And we have to make sure that all of them are aligned. If agents want to do 5% more and the office wants to do 10% more and the company wants to do 15% more, there's a disconnect there that you have to address. And maybe you address it by doing what Stacie did and hiring more people, you know, because you can still get the office and company up by bringing in new agents. But it's pretty arithmetic. I don't know that, you know, Stacie runs a really strong company. I don't know that her KPIs are that much different than ours. So I'll look at our reported stuff from last year. Our transaction processing software will generate one set of reports. We have a product called Dash that generates reports to Century 21 Corporate. So we'll take the two of them and check them against each other to make sure those numbers are right. And then we actually have each manager send us a production sheet each week on a spreadsheet, just so they know what they've written, what they've canceled, what new listings they've gotten. And that's really just to keep their eye. We get distracted easily, right? So it's to keep their eyes. So I think there's a lot of tools.
Yeah, I'm just super hesitant to put any numbers on paper this year for next year yet, not knowing what it's going to look like. Like, honestly, on April 1st, I didn't know if we were going to shut down all our storefronts and never sell a house again. Would people want to move in a pandemic? Would it be safe to help them do so? Those were the questions. And so it wasn't like, how many houses can we sell? It was like, how do we keep our agents fed? And what are we going to do if we can't continue to work? And we had the opposite problem. It was keeping up with the business and scaling, right? And making sure our systems were keeping up and our staff. So I think, like, going into 2021, I'm a little inclined to just be like, just hold on, like, just keep selling houses, keep making people happy, keep taking care of your people, keep the community safe and healthy, and the money follows, I think, when you do that. So I could throw some numbers at the wall, but I mean, our average sales price rose so dramatically in Denver. We actually hit a point where we had 6 days of inventory, Bill. So like, yeah, in detached. So right now there's like 10 houses for sale in the whole greater Denver metro area.
So you have a good deal for me?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for investments. So please.
There you go.
It is not the time to buy here if you're looking for a good return, a lovely lifestyle and awesome weather. But yeah, so I think we need to look at like market indicators, people that are like coming out of forbearance right now. That's where I've got my head at as far as agent training. How are they able to advise people if they're starting to go underwater, you know? So that's something we haven't had to deal with here, and most of my agents haven't had to work in a market like that. So those are like my goals.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's a lot of agents that came on in the past 5 to 6 years that are doing great right now, but they've never really seen a down market. So training and getting people's mind and to be able to wrap their head around, you know, listings not selling because there's a lot of inventory and buyers are where it's at is going to be a completely different change. But we're so new, like we based all of our numbers on a 3-year rolling average of me and my 2 partners and our teams. And we set up all of our budgeting based on those numbers, saying, you know, if we didn't add any other agents, we want to still be solvent with just the 9 people that we're starting with. And based on just our production, we were around 75 to 80 million a year. So we were able to make all of our budgeting in line with that and just stay conservative. And you know, like Stacie said, not just using 2020, but using 19 and 18 as well. And since then, we've been able to add 5 new agents. So then we were able to bring on another part-time staff person, you know, so my partner is a number guru, and he's been really good at keeping track and setting benchmarks based on, you know, production and where we're hoping to be. But like Bill said, that's a completely different KPI tracker than working with my team. You know, my 4-person team, we did business plan meetings this year and we did them all individually and wanted to find what everybody's goals were, what were their specific motivating factors and how could we get there. You know, one agent wanted to just do the same amount of business, but in less time because her kids are home from school and she's homeschooling. So she wasn't trying to grow her business by 20%. She was just trying to keep it the same with 50% less time, which if you think about it is a huge, it was big. And she was actually able, you know, to hit her goals, you know, from 19 to 20 and now she'll be able to grow in 2021. So it's just different for everybody. As far as tracking goes, we do a lot with a CRM. We use Buffini's Referral Maker CRM, and there's a lot of business planning tracking tools in there that help keep people online with, you know, if you want to do so much volume, you divide that up by your average transaction, which equals, you know, your percentage of listings versus buyers and how many appointments per client and so on and so on. So that's, you know, that's a pretty good system to kind of keep track of that too.
So what's your target in 2021 in terms of volume and number of agents?
So yeah, for the company, we want to be 30 agents and we want to be nice and small, be very selective about who we work with and you know, not grow too fast. Don't want to really be part of another big giant company of 150 agents. Like it's just not interesting to me anymore. But we should be on track for at least 200 million. And if things go really well, we could be in the 250, 275 range. And that's with maybe adding 2 or 3 more people. If we actually get up to 30, it'll be much more than that. For my team, we went from 22 million in 19 to 23 million in 20, but that was done pretty much between April and December, so that was really good, and for Rochester, where our average sales price is 134,000, that worked out to about 79 transactions, something like that. So next year we're hoping to be about probably 25, 26 million.
In 5 years, when you have 150 agents, call me.
Yeah,
because I'm listening to you and I love hearing that, but that's what happens is you open a business because you want to be in business, you begin to grow the business, and every level you get to, like if there's another opportunity,
you take it.
You have a choice to execute on it or not. And if you're the person who opens the company, typically you execute on that new opportunity. Stacie was going to hire 10, she hired 50. She may have to have 30 of them killed, but she'll still end up net with, net with more agents because she's a strong businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. And if somebody hands her $100 bill, she's not going to say, no, I'm sorry, my pockets are full.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point. Yep.
We are too, like the talent that's come out of COVID. That's why I have all those new agents now, right? I mean, these are people who have amazing backgrounds and skill sets, and maybe they weren't in sales, maybe they've just always loved HGTV, whatever it is. But for one thing, they need to feed their families. This is not a hobby. And or another thing, like they are like striving to be professional. They were at the top of the game wherever they were, whether that was in Manhattan or where, in corporate or, in consulting or whatever. And so I know these new agents are like, I can't say no. It's a bad habit, Pete. Like,
I hear that. And, and we've talked about that at length. Like, we're never going to say no to somebody who has potential or is good or is just approaching the business the right way. They're ethical, they're honest, they're skillful. They want to keep elevating their business. Even NAR says the biggest threat to our business is the number of unprofessional, unethical realtors that are running around doing terrible things, right? So I've wanted to get away from big companies where you're surrounded by a handful of them that make everybody else look bad. So obviously, like Bill said, if we can get 100 amazing people, then that'd be phenomenal. But I'm not, I was trying to be a little conservative, but we'll see what happens.
I would like to add to that, Pete, that I believe that in 2021, it will be more management like yours and leadership like you are, who will be very particular, who is going to be on their team. And also 2021 is going to produce a brand new realtor, in my opinion, who will be more sophisticated, techie, much more technologically inclined than 2020. And we're going to lose some of the agents. That just goes without saying. Some will not be able to make it. You have to be ambitious. You have to be focused. You have to know where you're going, and you have to have goals. And though I am not a realtor, I'm servicing realtors, I can tell you that I see the difference in the ones who are being advanced and getting advanced and the ones who are falling behind, and they have no future in 2021. It's fortunate and unfortunate.
I also think that actually there's opportunity there versus there are people who may not have the agility with technology and it's always going to be complicated. There's opportunity to pair those agents with agents who are more technology forward. And it's the continuity of business. And there are people who may decide with everything that's going on that they want to retire. Well, maybe this is an opportunity for them to build something where, hey, I want to retire. You're a great agent. Let's form a partnership. And I refer business, you refer business into me, and you're continuing to earn from the hard work of your career. So that's where the opportunity is here, because we are going to see that attrition, but there's the opportunity to retain that. Like if I owned a brokerage, I would look at those agents in my office and I would try to sort of foster those connections.
You're right, Nikki. That's a great point.
Yeah, Nika, I see that this partnership between the experienced professionals and very, very young, not even a professional, just a newcomer in the industry. We see that in all kind of applications industries. Even in our daily life, we're learning from our kids, from our teenagers on how to use TikTok, on how to use even Clubhouse that I'd love to discuss today. And I think these partnerships will be important in the real estate as well. And then there is another great opportunity for companies like Propi. When we need to build technology that will be as easy as using iPhone. It should be so intuitive and user-friendly that any user that is not tech savvy will be able to clearly use it. Anybody else to add about OKRs or tracking before we move?
I would just say, we at Windermere, we take a little bit more holistic approach. In 2010, we adopted the Ninja selling concept. And so we do Ninja, and that's our base for our business. And so we really look at it from a standpoint of a relationship. And so the question I have for an agent is, one, are you going to be full service? Number two, what's your work-life balance look like a year from now? And what are your goals in life, right? So what do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to give? What do you want to do? And can real estate be that vehicle for you? And if it is, let's reverse engineer your business so that happens and manifests for you. And what's amazing is when you invest in somebody like that and you give them that feeling of significance, it's a phenomenal what they end up doing. And what we find is that they surpass their goals. And so, I think that, instead of focusing on winning and losing, what we focus is on the activities that they're doing on a daily and weekly basis that are enhancing relationships and providing value. And what's amazing is business transpires from that. And that's kind of our philosophy. So when we do business planning, it's not looking at numbers or production, or it's simply looking at saying, what do you want your life to look like? And let's help you build that. Let's help you manifest that and make it happen. And when we started doing that consistently, it's phenomenal what happened as a company with our average transaction count went up, our average agent GCI went up. Just, the overall health of an agent and happiness and less burnout. And I think that's, there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's so zen.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
we can't do that on the East Coast, just so that we're clear. There's more zen on the West Coast.
Oh,
You know,
indeed.
I'm just
yes.
no, I'm just teasing. We try to hit that work-life balance for our agents as well. But the way you framed it was just so lovely and was
really good.
so namaste that I was like, oh man, I just want to close and drive across this plague-ridden land and just work there and have my yoga mat in the morning.
But Bill, I will tell you, I am a master instructor for Ninja. So I do teach for the Ninja program too. And I do teach on the East Coast. And we have managed to get people to actually get to that Zen state. It's not as easy, I would agree with you, but we've been able to do it.
No, I like the Ninja program.
Like if you've never gotten a handwritten card from Nikki, she stamps it with a wax stamp, and it's like the most special experience. Like,
yeah, that's great.
Queen.
With a fountain pen. I write my notes with fountain pens.
I love that.
Wow.
And a wax seal.
That's
I
right.
was just as you were saying, I love the Ninja selling concept.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when that became the thing, but I was a ninja before that became the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's really, it changes the dynamics of how you run your business and how you live your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like my life, I am a happy person because I am working with people that I like and that I enjoy. And that just continues to sort of grow, and they bring more people that way, like people that Stacie sends over.
Right.
And Nikki's fountain pen, by the way, was made by dwarves in the mountains, as in Lord of the Rings. It's a magical. No, Nikki is magical. It doesn't. You could do it with a Sharpie, and it would be wonderful. That's really what that is.
Very true.
It's nice therapy to sit and sort of write, and it makes you really think. It makes you think about what you're putting on the paper versus sending out a text and all that other fun stuff, which I also love to do selectively.
Have you guys read this book, No Rules Rules? It's an amazing book by the founder of Netflix. It was recently published, and it basically shows how you can lead a company through this Zen approach, where you put the happiness, transparency, honesty on the top of the priorities for the culture. And I think that it's just a must-have book to learn from the next Netflix journey. Of course, there are some disadvantages and advantages of such a culture. But I just was quite impressed. And when Michael mentioned what is important in tracking their results, that happiness should be part of that, definitely. I recalled about that book. Highly I recommend that.
Who's the author?
Reed Hastings and Aaron Meyer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I have a phone. I already got it. I'll order it when we're off here. Does it have pictures, Natalia? If it doesn't have pictures, I'm not sure I can work my way through it.
There is an attached PDF there. Will
Sweet.
it work for you, Bill?
That'll work. That'll work.
Actually, I was driving to Washington State here for 15 hours with my Tesla. So Tesla was driving. I was only watching the road, and I was listening to this book. So I was totally focused, and it helped me just to go through the journey. But it was so amazing that I was barely noticing the burden of this long trip. So highly appreciate that, especially now in the end of the year or in January when you're thinking about the culture of your company and you're able to impact your industry and your company. It's a good one. Awesome. Willie, how are you?
I'm good. Trying to stay cool here in sunny Southern California.
Great, great. So how do you want to share how we track OKRs in 1 or 2 sentences?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a little unique, and I'm sure that somebody like Pete who's setting up a new business, it's a little difficult because we're trying to figure out a sales process. Probably us more so because ours is such a brand new product. Figuring out what's effective. Is it more effective reaching out through email, via phone? And, we generally track our meetings, how many meetings we have on a week, where those leads are coming from, how we're getting them, whether it's an email or a cold call, and then try and figure out use that as a learning experience, not just, oh, here, go make 150 cold calls. That may be the case, but if we do implement that, it's because we've learned that it's effective. So I'd say that's the overall message, is we track these things, not necessarily to make someone have to perform all these tasks, but we want to constantly evaluate, see what's the most effective form of outreach, certainly experiment with some new kinds, and then put all of the resources we can behind the ones we find to work the best. And that's true across all of our departments, whether it's sales, marketing, product. So I think it's a good approach.
That's tough. I mean, don't you have to create enough? You have to do enough different stuff to be able to analyze the numbers. If you don't know what fails, like, fail forward kind of thing. If you don't know what fails, you don't know what wins. And it's got to be, Proppy is a wonderful company, and I'm a big supporter, but we're inundated with so many vendors, every day. It's just crazy, and everybody's trying, like if somebody could figure out how to slip a nickel into an email, like sometimes you used to get direct mail and it would have like a nickel or $1 in it to get you to open it up. Like if somebody could figure out how to do that on an email, that would be like the next big thing, because I go through stuff and it's like delete, 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 delete. And I would be one of your targets, as with Stacie or Nikki or, anybody on the webinar. So I mean, I have great respect for you trying to figure out the path to actually get past our ennui,
Yeah,
it's the same thing though. Like they're delivering value right now. Like this is the dollar in their email.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So that's what I appreciate about y'all's marketing. And that's what I strive for with our marketing too. Like not just push, 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 a lot of pull marketing, which I'm sure Lucy has a lot to say about too. So I think you guys do such a good job of that.
Thank you, Stacie.
Absolutely. I love your newsletters. I love your I love your talk shows, and I watch them just to have a general understanding, because you always have very interesting guests, and even it has nothing to do with my direct marketing job, or it has nothing to do even with me personally. I think it is a great, well-rounded talk show that you offer that is interesting. So I personally believe that if you make it fun, exciting, you kind of build the platform for the future, that yes, sign in at least for half of the time and then stay if that's what you want to hear. And most of the time I stay to the end. So it's great job, guys.
Good to hear. That's very, very pleasant. Yeah, and I totally agree that we are being bombarded with so many emails. And like in our case, for example, the tech startup, I daily receive hundreds of emails like, use my tool for this, use my tool for that. And sometimes they're catchy and I read them. Sometimes they're not and just delete. Sometimes I leave it for after. But the most important thing, like our OKRs, the company OKRs, is just building the innovative product. That's it. Innovation, innovation, innovation. Then the other department is sales. Then the other department is marketing. So we have four departments. And what is important for us is to establish the OKRs, objectives, and key results for the year. And then we track them every single week. And then we, after we see the numbers, the KPIs, we actually reflect on what did we learn. And Bill, as you mentioned, it's very important to learn and to experiment. And maybe in Pete's case, it's very important to experiment because they're young. They have not figured out all the processes just yet, and they want to be different. In order to be different, you have to experiment a lot. And this, again, what I really loved in this book, No Rules Rules. They talk a lot about why some companies are innovative, how they experiment, and how they're adaptive. As you mentioned, adaptability is like one key success approaches. And this year we just saw those who thrive, they were able to be adaptive and flexible. Piper, let's chat about Bitcoin. I know that this is where you cannot predict how much business you will have. Bitcoin will hit, I think soon, $30,000. And do you set any goals for the next year, or you're just having all these requests and you don't know what will happen?
It's so hard to say, but yeah, I mean, Susie, my partner, and I were going to sit down, at the beginning of the year and do some kind of framework, some kind of outline. I mean, just in the last 2 weeks, my crypto realty group website has just been blowing up. It's, I'm getting so many hits and a few calls, as you know. So it's been interesting the last couple of years. I'm grateful that, I was able to set the groundwork for this in 2017. And, 2018, 2019, most of 2020, it was just kind of like laying dormant. People weren't really doing much with Bitcoin, but it was, I was still there, still kind of a presence, but now, it's just been taking off. And I think it's really good timing. It's funny. It's like I've had this name in Bitcoin and crypto for a few years now, but
you're the crypto queen, right?
Yeah, everybody calls me that, but I don't know. Not comfortable with that. But anyway. Yeah, no, it's funny. It's like I was saying, like, I'm kind of like known for this, but it's like, especially this year, it's been hard to get arrested, like even in my own farm, so I'm trying something new. Hopefully I can talk to you this time next year and let you know how it all went. But, we're going to be building out these these teams, these tech teams, so to speak, around the globe, whereas, I couldn't do that at my old brokerage. It'd be very, very difficult to do. So I'm kind of just like stepping out. This is what I wanted to do 3 years ago, but I didn't have the infrastructure or the partnerships to get this done, and the last 3 years.
The crypto market just fell apart. So you
Oh,
actually
the SEC came in, and it was, for better or for worse, it made blockchain and crypto stronger in the long run. But, there for a little bit, I thought, oh, we're done. This is not going to go anywhere. But, I just toe the line.
Overall, I think really real estate, investing in real estate and in Bitcoin will be the hit of 2021.
Yep.
Both assets, just because another stimulus is approved, and thus dollar is de-evaluating rapidly. And if you guys haven't watched this YouTube video of the CEO of microservices talking about that, the fiduciary duty of stakeholders of one company will be to make sure they don't hold the cash. They invest in Bitcoin and other assets, because it's devaluating 50% annually with all the money that are being printed. Awesome. So Piper, you don't have any number to claim that you will hit next year? Number of transactions?
20 million is always my goal. My numbers kind of felt, because I'm in Southern California, and 20, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but 20 million is not, that difficult in my neighborhood. But it's, so that's always my kind of, my one goal. And if I surpass that, awesome. But we'll just see. And that's just in my market. So, these other markets that we're going to be expanding to are all, technically crypto friendly. I've just got to see how it shakes out, where it all goes.
Great, thank you. Another hot topic in our industry is Clubhouse. I'm seeing like everybody is setting the rooms, asking for invitations. Yesterday I saw that actually now you can get an account without you to be invited on Clubhouse. Nikki, what's your experience there so far? And do you think it's a long-term trend?
It's going to be really interesting to see if it lasts. It's been around for a couple of months. I've only been on for maybe 2 weeks. I am fascinated, maybe perhaps because it's a platform where I can talk, and if my hair's standing up on end, nobody is going to see me. So that's a nice break from the Zooms. And I have noticed a lot of people joining. And one of the things that they did is you don't necessarily need an invitation. So as an example, if Stacie signs up and reserves her name, I will see a notification that I can let Stacie in without actually having to use an invite. And it's like an interactive podcast is the way that I think about it. It's like if we were doing this, we just wouldn't be able to see each other, and we can invite people up to speak. I think it's very interesting. I think it still has some potential.
So what do you think we should make as a topic discussion, Nikki, on Clubhouse?
I think it really depends on, as with any platform, it depends on who you're actually trying to engage. Are you trying to engage other agents? Are you trying to engage consumers? Are you trying to have conversations around your passion projects? So for me, I sell real estate, so I like to talk to people who like to buy real estate. But I also like to talk to other agents and build community and relationships so that we can refer business back and forth when people leave New York and they go to Philly or they go to Denver. I have people to call.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Anybody else in Clubhouse from
Nikki,
this group?
you need to sign up right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Yes. So Stacie, we're planning a Clubhouse talk with Nikki. So maybe.
She told me that, and so I was like, oh God, I guess I have to join.
Yeah,
So,
now you have to.
And even while I've been sitting here, I've been getting notifications from people who are trying to ping me in to come and talk about whether it's marketing or building referrals and relationships with other agents. So it's a very interesting community. And I think one of the things that might be really appealing right now, this might just be my personal vanity, the fact that I don't have to be on video. I can just sit and chat. And there's still a lot of civility. You're not seeing this sort of arguing, the sort of keyboard cowboy thing happening, because you are hearing the sound of voice. And I think that intimacy is really maintaining a really nice community feel at the moment.
Yeah, and also I see that more intimate conversations are happening in the evenings. Like more and more people are just having calls in the evenings. And there are a lot of motivational stuff and personal growth.
It'll be interesting to see what happens when all of our external distractions return. When we're all traveling and we're going to restaurants and we're going to shows. Right now, we are all very much sort of captive audiences. So this is a new way to connect without having to, you know, brush your hair or put on a headband.
Yeah, it's a big one. Awesome. So let's plan to have this talk next week, maybe on
Absolutely.
Monday. Awesome.
Yeah,
Who's
sure. Why not?
in? I'm in. Anybody else in?
I am trying to get in.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Good.
I'll see you over there, Bill.
This
Okay.
Clubhouse?
Mm-mm.
Wait, do you have an Android?
Yes.
So right now the app is actually iPhone, iOS only at the
Oh,
moment.
boo.
Oh,
Boo.
I hate when they do
ask your
that.
wife. Do you have anybody?
I have no idea. I have no idea why. I didn't make the app.
Yeah, well, normally you want to be very well done on one platform before you start developing to other devices. So that's the reason. Pete, do you have anybody in the family who has an iPhone?
Or an iPad.
We are Android only.
Dude,
Wow,
stop at
not
Best
even
Buy
an
on the way
iPad.
home, pick up an iPhone 12.
I had an iPod one time, and when my computer died, it was attached to. I couldn't access any of my songs anymore. I've been anti-Apple ever since.
Hey, Pete, maybe it's a Zen message that maybe you shouldn't do it. It's not another rabbit hole you need. Maybe
Yeah,
you
exactly.
get something else to focus on.
I've got enough distractions right now.
Exactly.
No, and I appreciate all this feedback too. Like, I mean, I know that we don't know yet, you know, so any tips or anything anybody has, feel free to reach out, because I'm sure we'll need it this year.
Awesome. Okay, anybody has a story, funny story in 2020? If so, raise your hand. Okay, how about we will wrap up the call with the prediction for 2021 and a wish for 2021 to our community.
Well, I would like to wish, obviously, you know, I'm from Russia, so New Year's Eve is a big holiday for us. And I always say it's the biggest non-religious, non-political holiday that you can really enjoy besides Thanksgiving. So I wish everyone to just be yourself, enjoy the day, enjoy the moment, be in the moment, and prepare for next year as focused and gather yourself and create a new path that you will enjoy. You have to love what you do. And obviously all of you who is here today, you're really making it fun and exciting to come to wake up in the morning and to start your day. So I just wish you all, and wish all my friends and my family and my wonderful clients the same feeling. Just love what you do and enjoy every day.
That's a good one. Thank you, Lucy.
I'll share my my word for 21. I decided on this morning. It's always like a process for me, but I decided my word is cultivate. And to me, that means that I'm going to be really focusing my energy on organic growth and helping my agents organically and with the help of Ninja grow their businesses and nurture their spheres. So that feels really good to me right now. So my wish for 21 is may spend tons of time outdoors and get to see people in real life, and can't wait to hug everyone again. Cheers.
Oh, so sweet. Cheers. Cheers. Fantastic. Yeah, I also just concluded my resolutions for 2021 and came up not with a word, but with a phrase for 2021. And it's keep calm and win. So I still want to win as an entrepreneur, but the first one is keep calm. Awesome. Bill?
Listen, my wish for 2021 is that we all meet together a year from now on a Proppy webinar. Everybody's healthy, that they're even happier than they are now, and that they have great stories about all of the traveling they did in the back half of the year. Life got a little bit more normal.
I love it.
And in terms of the plan going in,
A Proppy conference, Bill. A Proppy conference.
I'm good.
Exactly.
I'm good. Listen, we can just pick a city in the world, preferably Eastern Europe. I love Eastern Europe. And
perfect.
We can just
Sofia,
meet
Bulgaria.
there. We can just meet there at some cafe and have a wonderful meal, great wine, and an evening where we can spend it together and talk. And I approach every year the same way. I'm prepared to improvise, overcome, and adapt. You know, I mean, to me, that's just business. It's not anything new. Oh, and if you get a chance, Bridgerton, worth binge watching on Netflix.
So worth it.
I'm telling you, I started watching it. I watched the first one. I was like a little like this. And a friend of mine said she had watched it 3 times over the weekend.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm now halfway through it, and it's obsessive. It truly is. So if you have nothing to do tonight, tomorrow, and the day after, you might want to hit Netflix up. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
I have done it. I've done it 3 times. It has been the highlight of my week.
Oh my God.
I am still trying to focus on what I think my word
I still can't hear you.
for 20.
Letting you know.
Oops.
I can hear her.
You're just fine.
She's just talking to me. That's why.
Oh.
I can hear her clearly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. But I think that, to Stacie's point, sort of intentionally cultivating relationships, whether those are new ones or going deeper into the existing ones, that's been one of the gifts of 2021, both professionally and personally. I've discovered I like my family a lot more than I really realized, because they're basically the only people that I have been reliably engaging with as you try to kind of keep your pod small outside of business, and just trying to keep that going forward as much as I can.
So what is
Who
your
knew
word?
we had
Nikki?
pods last year?
I'm not
Who even knew we
sure.
had pods? I'm
not sure if it's intention or if it's cultivating. So I'm still musing on it, and I still have at least 24 plus hours to go before I need to decide.
Good. Pete?
Yeah, grow, I guess, grow as a business owner and grow as a team leader and help all of our agents and, and focus on the family, because unless it's a well-balanced, thing, and then what's the point, right? So just trying to learn and keep growing as much as possible, and can't wait to see all you guys in person at a NAR or Inman or something conference coming up in the future. And just to say thanks, to Natalia and Proppy again for that transparency and honesty award. I mean, you guys couldn't have picked a better time to launch that. I mean, I've been telling everybody, like, I just love the fact that you made that such an important tenet of your company, that it's not production, it's not I'm number one in anything or this or that, like any of that stuff. It's just, being honest and transparent and a good business person. So, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Pete, for participating, and congrats again. Yeah, so Pete won our award for transparency and honesty. where anybody can vote for any agent. You can nominate any agent. And it's like pure based on, do you feel this agent is transparent and honest? And Pete won it with like double of number of votes compared to others. Hundreds of agents participated. But next year, we're planning to do it metric driven, based on number of offers and number of, we will be measuring the negotiation skills and so on. So it will be very, very exciting.
I like that was your rollout of work, because you could tell that's your, the important thing to your company,
Yes.
is that so it was important.
Yeah, it was very important really to reflect how transparency and honesty is important, not only in our culture, but I know for consumers, it's the key. When they choose an agent, they need to believe and trust that that's the realtor they can absolutely trust in this, one of the most important and impactful investment in their life. Piper.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We've been talking about our markets just exploding the last few months, but there are also a lot of other agents and a lot of other people who are really hurting right now, and it's like there's two sides of this coin going on. I'm really grateful for the business, but on the other hand, to my fellow agents, who are not, their business is hurting, I would say, try to think outside the box. You can't be, stuck on this one thing, like if open houses are your thing and you don't have open houses right now, what else can you do? And, be open for other possibilities that could make you money that you would not have thought of before, and I'm speaking this from experience, it's taken me, 2 months to make the decision to hop, brokerages, but I'm like, finally I'm like, I have to do something different than what I'm doing right now, because what I'm doing right now is not working. So I would say, stay open and take the sales hat off and be compassionate, be in service, make those human connections, because nobody wants a salesperson right now. I don't think, at least where I am, and to, my clients, they're my friends. I just, I'm always here for them, no matter what's happening. I don't care, if you're in the market or not, I want you to know that, there's a lot of stuff still going on, there's hopefully light at the end of the tunnel, but, just like you said, Natalia, keep calm and, fill in the blank, but, I'm here for you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Piper. Willie?
So my hope for 2021 is that we get back to normal at some point, because it would be nice to be able to see people in person and go out to dinner and all the things we took for granted. Sort of piggybacking a bit off of what Bill said, I think I myself like to make quick decisions and change quickly. And I think if anything, this last year has taught us that it's tough to do that, because the situation's so fluid that it's always changing. So I think taking that perspective moving forward, trying to evaluate how things are changing, and then whether it's on a personal level, professional level, trying to evaluate, what's going to stay and what's not, and then adjust, your approach accordingly. So I think that that's something that this year's taught me to do, and hope to be better at practicing it in 2021.
Great. Thank you, Willie. Thank you so much. Michael, what is your wish?
My wish for 2021 is I love to travel, and just getting back to where we can be with people face to face, enjoying an awesome trip, or going to see live music. I'm also a professional drummer, and been in a band for 20 some years. And, when COVID went into lockdown, people don't play out anymore. And so, we get creative in that world. But my wish is that we get back to some sense of gathering and doing it safely. And then my word, it's not a new word. It's a motto that I have. I'm a dad. I've got a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, but when they're really young, I would say to them every day in the morning, hey kids, be awesome and help somebody. And even at a really young age, my 2 kids said, hey dad, we can achieve both if we just do one. And I said, well, explain that to me. And they said, Dad, if we help somebody, we're automatically awesome. And I think going back to what Piper said, I think that the more that we can look around every day going into 2021 and ask, we're grateful for what we have, but who can we help? And I think that if everybody would look at life that way, it changes. It changes how you see things. And so that's my hope, is that all of us figure out ways to be awesome and help somebody.
Beautiful. Help others. The word
Yep.
for 2021.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for these beautiful sharings you did today, for all the wishes for 2021. It's amazing to be able to connect with you from different states, from the entire country. Stay safe and be happy. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.